4, or lesson 4, on the road to moral courage is, you define your honor. Harun, not his real name, is a nephew of mine in Britain. And he writes me a secret email venting that his family expects him to bow to the clerics, even though he has a mind of his own. He goes on to say that his family hates my book. Of course, he points out that they've never read it and they don't intend to. And that's why he pledges to get his own copy of the book, as a sign that he defines his honor. He doesn't capitulate to his family's definition of his honor. Now let's raise the bar here to the mass society level and bring non-Muslims in. I find it revealing that today so many big-hearted, open-minded non-Muslims defer to a code of honor without even knowing it. They stop themselves from asking questions about Islam because they fear being dishonored as bigots in the eyes of their peers. And that fear allows an entire group of people to impose upon them a particular definition of propriety, a definition that violates their integrity as people with questions. Now, I'm trying to understand this fear, I really am, and I appreciate that nobody wants to be accused of interfering in other people's business by asking uncomfortable questions. But I have to ask you a question. In our increasingly interconnected world, is there such a thing as other people's business? I mean, who's the other? Let's learn from history. In the 1960s, Christians in Alabama chastised Martin Luther King Jr., a Christian in Georgia, and they chastised him as a, quote, outside agitator. You know why? Because he dared to bring the civil rights movement across state borders, from Georgia to Alabama. And the Alabama Christians said that he doesn't understand our culture. To which Martin Luther King Jr. replied, "We are all caught in an inescapable mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny, interdependence." And if interdependence was the reality of 1960s America, imagine how much more it's our reality in this hyper-connected era. In fact, history can teach us a lot about what honor truly is and what it isn't. In the Deep South of the United States, for example, slave masters fed off of their culture of family honor to justify owning people of darker skin. And until recently, segregationists invoked family honor to keep blacks and whites separated. So here's my next question for you. If you had friends in the Deep South of the US, would you silence yourself about racial segregation because you don't want your friends accusing you of being an outside agitator? We know the answer. Your answer would be no. Of course you wouldn't silence yourself, because you know that racial segregation is just wrong. So why do so many of us still stay mute about segregation between women and men within Islam, especially when that culture of family honor leads to so much violence, such as honor killings? In this chapter, I illustrate that it is possible to resist the tyranny of groupthink, of group honor. And I do that in a lot of ways, including by telling you a couple of stories. The first one is about Islam's own Gandhi. Here's a man who promoted nonviolent change even as he had to stare in the face of political and religious hostility. That's moral courage. And the other story is about a Jordanian woman who to this day, bit by bit, is reforming lax attitudes towards honor killings in her country's courts. Each of these stories contains clues about what you and I can be doing in our own lives to reimagine honor for the sake of genuine peace.